Hi, this is E3 special of the show, YouTube edition, episode 1. Um, I want to go over a lot of stuff that's been happening the past 2 days of E3 because these have been the best 2 days of E3 I've ever seen. Better than last year's, better than all of them combined. There's a lot of stuff announced. All three press conferences were really good this year. Because last year you always say like, well, Microsoft is horrible, Nintendo's horrible, Sony was the best. You can always have these variables. But this is the only year I remember that all three press conferences were actually really good. Um, Now I'm going to start with the Microsoft press conference. The first one out of the box surprised me a lot. I started off saying, "Oh, it's going to be another one like last year," but there's a lot of games that they showed that I got really excited for. Um, and I also then the I'm gonna skip a lot of announcements, but half the stuff that they brought were great. I mean, Modern Warfare 2, the exclusive map packs, oh amazing. Um, we showed new Splinter Cell, and that one seemed a little bit more like I'm interested in it a little bit more than I was back in the day. Then the one announcement that stood out the most to me was Metal Gear Solid Rising. And I saw it coming, as I said in my one-on-one videos, is that I knew a lot of fans would be upset with this, but personally, I'm actually happy at Metal Gear Solid Rising because one, it's a spin-off or a side story Metal Gear game, so it's not like you need to play Metal Gears 1 through 4 to understand Rising. Rising is just a game that I think Kojima always wanted to do. And I think I remember him saying that he always wanted to create Metal Gear Solid on the 360, but not until MGS4 was done on the PS3. And Rising was that game. So the trailer was weak in my opinion. It didn't really show much. It just kind of said, "Oh, we're doing Metal Gear Rising." I I hope he comes back at TGS or the Germany's game convention and they explore it a little bit more than what they have. Also, moving on to Nintendo's press conference. Now, I didn't see Nintendo's press conference, but I got wind of a lot of games that were shown, a lot of trailers. Oh, the one that stood out the most to me, besides No More Heroes 2, was Super Mario Galaxy 2. That surprised me because usually when Nintendo makes a Mario game, they say like Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy. I thought that they'd go for another gimmick like Super Mario Waterworld, but no, they stick with Galaxy and made a sequel. First, I was like, oh, it's gonna be the same, but then you watch the trailer that they showed, and you get to ride on Yoshi. I mean, there's a lot of new gameplay stuff, which actually made me a little bit more excited for this game, a lot more than it did made me remember the same exact hype I had for the first one. The only thing that disappointed me about their conference was no Zelda title for the Wii. Off the bat, that should have been there. I don't know why they didn't bring it, but they had a strong E3 compared to last year. Last year, it was just horrible. I mean, you sit there and they were just talking about the Wii balancing board, and it bored you to tears. But this one, they brought a lot of games forth. They did a good job this year, and that's saying a lot for them. Then I also want to talk about No More Heroes 2. Now, I played the first one. Gotta say, this one looks a lot better than the first one. The frame rate looks a lot more, you know, looks a lot better than the first game's frame rate because it would always, like, eh. Now it's more like, yeah, and I'm also expecting it's not going to take itself seriously as the first one did, but it looks like a phenomenal game. I hope it's as good as I hope it is. um, Then they had Red Steel 2, and I played the first one, that game just sucked. This one actually looked like that they understood that the first one sucked, and this one looks a lot better. The graphics look a lot more presentable, and it also looked, good to play, and who doesn't want to play that game, looks like. Then, and then that's it for Nintendo's press conference, since theirs is only like an hour long. Then we move into the Sony press conference. Now, this one, it kind of shocked me in a way because there was all these leakages of this game. I mean, of their conference, like the PSP Go was leaked, a new Metal Gear Solid title for the PSP was leaked. There's a lot of stuff leaked, and this in this press conference, like the person who was presenting knew that was being leaked. Like they were just sitting there like, we know our stuff's been leaked, but we still have we have a lot of surprises up our sleeve, and they did. They showed Gran Turismo for the PSP, which was like hyped on day one of the PSP, and now we get to see the end because it only showed up for E3 2005, I believe, and then it just stopped showing up. Like it wasn't in E3 06, 07, or 08. It didn't show up at all. Now we actually get to see it in person, and we think we got a solid release date of this October, which is pretty big. They actually get a release date out of them. Then we had Resident Evil for the PSP, which I didn't see coming at all. And this got me a little bit more excited and a little bit more like, oh, it's gonna probably be more like Deadly Silence with the static camera that most people are gonna hate and all the hardcore love. Um, then we had Kojima show up for the Sony press conference, and a lot of people were expecting a Metal Gear game for the PS3. I wasn't. I had a feeling it would be for PSP, and it was for PSP. Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. That game looks like a big project, and I got really excited for it. But here's my little bits and pieces of of the trailer that they showed. Um, the graphics look nice, but then when you get to their face, it just looks like that it's been pasted on. Then when you look at Portable Ops, it looks like it was a PS2 game almost. This game, it looks good and it has some things, but I think it'll be polished in the future. But the one thing in the trailer that kind of stood out to me was the fact that they had four snakes, and you're just like, what are the four snakes doing? Like, there's four big bosses in story. Then you realize, oh, um, it's probably 4-player co-op, which I do think it is, because if you look at it carefully, it kind of hints it a little bit. Like it says, like, co-op coordination or something like that, and it kind of said that in the trailer, and that was just like, whoa, it's you have online co-op, which is a good feature to have in this title, but you don't really need it, but it was a good thing to have it. So that just got me excited. I was like, oh, finally a true Metal Gear game, not like Portable Ops. Now we actually get a game that's sticking solely to the storyline. Um, so I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the Sony press conference that got me. Like God of War 3, I actually saw a gameplay demo of it, so that looks pretty good. It's coming out in March 2010, which is a decent timeline. Oh, and MGS Peace Walker is coming out next year as well. Um, I mean, it's just this E3 has been really great, and there's still more to come. And if you hear the Kojima Productions report that's just been up today, they talk about they're gonna have another press conference tomorrow for Konami. They're gonna announce another big title, which why wouldn't anyone care? Um, so this E3 is turning out to be really, really good. It seems to be better than last year's E3, better than all his past E3s, because this one is the only one that actually seems to surprise people, which E3 should be doing. So it's been a great year. Sadly, I think we're all gonna be broke for 2 years instead of just having a season of having poor walls. Because I remember end of each year they'd say, "Oh, my wallet's gonna be broke by the end of the holiday season." Now it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be broke for 2 years." It's great to see like all these. It's great to see all these games coming out in these 2 years. It gets you really excited and really happy to be a gamer. So, I mean, it's a great time. This E3 has been great. I hope we see more E3s like this than having one E3 like this and next year be crappy. So I am very grateful that this E3 was great. It totally exceeded my expectations. It blew me out of the water. Uh, it just surprised me a lot in many ways that I didn't expect. So expect tomorrow to be another episode of the show about E3. The best I can, of course. So see you when I see you. Goodbye, everybody.